Hey everyone, this is William May with Century 21, and I got Jason Morris. Hey,
Hey,
what's up, good sir?
hey, man, how are you?
Better than most, but not as good as some.
Yeah, I understand. I understand it's a rainy day here in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Right, right. The sun is just coming up for me. I had to come in before the sun come up to get a hold of you. You a
Oh
busy
man,
man.
I tell you
What's
what,
going
man,
on?
lately things have been busy just with all the stuff I've had going on, training, coaching, real estate sales, because I'm actually active in the business too, and just all that stuff, man. It just keeps me busy. And then I just had I've got a 3-month-old at home, so
Congratulations,
it it adds to
you
my
and your
schedule.
fiance.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Did you see the ring?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, man, I had to put my shades on. I was like, wow, all out.
Thank you. You never know how it's gonna work. I picked it out. I was like, oh man, is she gonna like this one? Because I surprised her. I mean,
Right,
she kind
right,
of knew, but she didn't like know like that day. She didn't get to pick out the ring. That's why.
right. Oh,
So,
okay.
so
She
but
didn't like tell her friends to be like sending you different pictures of the rings she wanted.
no, I just kept paying attention, like when I'd see things on Facebook
Hmm.
and other people getting engaged and stuff.
Right.
I just pay attention to what she mentioned about their ring.
Okay.
Whether it was like a little chip, you need a magnifying glass to see it, or it was, whatever it was. But yeah, man, business has been really good, and I think that it's going to be really good through the end of the year. I hope it stays this
Yeah,
way.
we're in the fourth quarter, and we only got like 39 days to get a transaction into play before he let what's that
Hmm.
November 15th.
Yeah,
Because
that's
after
right.
November 15th, you're not going to get a commission unless you have a cash deal.
Yeah,
So
you
try
know
to
what?
get those deals in play now. And if you want replay, still get some deals in now.
Well, that's right. Well, agents right now, they need to start planning for 2018. I mean,
Yeah,
it's already we're already at that crunch time where, dude, if it's not in your pipeline right now,
you got to have
it's
momentum going into the
not going
new
to be.
year.
Yeah, so now's the time that you get prepared and you get started for 2018,
Right.
where you can take, and this is the time, like if you could go into the first of the year with 10, 15 listings, 20 listings, right?
Right.
Your 2018 is going to look a lot different than if you go into 2018 with 0 listings or 1 listing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now's the time you build that.
Right.
You
And
know,
then with those 10 and 15 listings, you have a smaller price point. Out here in California, we have a
yeah,
bigger
dude,
price point.
I
So
got to
if you're
sell like
doing like
5.
two or 3 deals, or up to 5 to 8, you're doing pretty good because we're at a higher price point.
Yeah, man. I mean, I got to do like 5 deals to equal one of y'all's out there. I mean, which
Right.
like, but here's the thing about mine too is that there's a lot of buyers for like $100,000 house.
Hmm.
So in my market,
A lower point of entry.
yeah, if you, my market, at $100,000, I know right now that if I go list a single family house with a 2-car garage for $150,000 or less, it's in
Right.
good shape, moving ready. I know for a fact it's going to sell.
Hmm.
So I have agents ask me that sometimes, why don't I go after $500,000 homes? Why don't I go after $1 million homes? And I do sell those every once in a while. But you know what, man, what I do, because my time with like all my stuff is kind of limited, I focus on things that I know is going to be a guaranteed sale if I list it,
Right.
if that makes sense. I've really studied my market. I've done like a whole analysis of my market so that I could tell, what's going to happen, or what's
Hmm.
going to happen when I list it. Like there are pockets in every market,
Right. Right.
and there
That's
are
why
pockets in
every
every market. Yeah,
real estate is local. So that's
yeah.
why you have to know your market.
Yeah, man, I have agents ask me all the time. They'll email me or message me, and they're like, "Oh, I got a great investment deal. Are you interested? Or do you have a client that's interested?" The problem with that is that, yeah, I got clients that are interested in deals, but dude, we don't know what the market's like in Arizona.
Right.
We don't know. Yeah, yours is on Main Street, but it's street next door, Magnolia Street next door, dude, Magnolia Street might suck.
Right, exactly.
It might be a great house, but we don't really know what's around it. We don't know what's happening in the neighborhood. Like here's a great example. We got Highway 31, and Highway 31 is the cutoff for a program called USDA, or it's roughly the cutoff for a program called USDA. When you go west of Highway 31, dude, how many residents? You get 105% financing. Meaning you can buy a house with less money out of your pocket than renting your next home, right?
Right.
However, if you go east of Highway 31, best you can do is like FHA 3.5% down. So, and then you got mortgage insurance, and you got, you might be approved to buy a house a little bit further out west for $150,000. You go 2 miles east and you can't afford $150,000. Debt income ratio.
And in some areas of the country, I've talked to agents where they said, well, hey, across the street, you can get a house for $200,000. You go across the medium, these houses are $600,000 to $800,000.
Yeah.
It's just basically cross the street.
Zillow. Yeah, you can't look on Zillow and figure that out. So, I see agents doing that, and have agents messaging me about stuff like that. And
right.
It just don't make a lot of sense, especially with development property. Like a lot of agents with developments who message me going, hey, man, I got this development that's it's in Florida. Well, dude, that's fantastic, but I don't know nothing about Florida. I know
right.
There, I know that, that's about it. That's the extent of my Florida real estate knowledge,
right.
So, but I think there's a lot of specific things that agents need other than that local knowledge. I think there's a lot of specific things agents need to be successful in this company.
Well, that's one of the things that, I wanted to go over, because like right now we're in the fourth quarter, no matter what you did during this year, you have the opportunity of crossing the finish line with more deals. And with this interview, is going to be like, I'm going to be asking you, like, what can an agent do to be a superstar in this market?
Yeah. Man, I think the number one thing is mindset.
Okay. Mindset.
I think you got to have a tough mindset because a lot of this business, this, if you're using the same script over and over, you're going to get the same objections. I mean, we've talked about this.
Right.
You wrote the expired objection book. So the reason why that book isn't 100 objections is because, dude, you really don't get 100 objections. You
get basically the same thing.
You get the same 3 or 4.
Maybe different versions of it.
Yeah, different versions of the same 3 or 4, and even coming up with 10. Was a struggle. 10 different ones was a struggle. Once you kind of get to where those objections, how to overcome them. You got a script that you really know works, and well. You've asked that same script to 1,000 different sellers, so you've already heard those answers. Hundreds of times. You've heard the objections.
The responses come back.
That muscle memory is built. You know what I mean?
Right.
The thing that really carries you to the next level isn't learning a new script. It's a different mindset. The mindset that you have today, if you're making, let's say, for example, if you're making $100,000 a year and you want to make $1 million a year, the mindset that you have today can't get you to $1 million.
Right.
So you have to change your mindset, and you have to build that mindset, and you have to build that mental toughness, And
it's like different layers. Like going up a ladder.
It's personal development. It's what it amounts to. It's going out there and learning things and listening to these guys that are, and being around those guys that are ahead of you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the 4-minute mile. I mean, we've all heard the story of the 4-minute mile. Once that first guy done it, everybody runs a 4-minute mile now.
Right.
I
used to run track, and I forget the guy's name, but yeah. Once he completed the 4-minute mile, within 2 months, it was like 6 other people that accomplished that same goal.
Yeah, that's right. Mindset's that same way, and being around those people and listening to those people that are a little bit ahead of you, and building that strong foundation. And what helps me is when I listen to things like daily. You know what I mean?
Like Tony Robbins and
I like Tony
Les Brown.
I like Les Brown.
My
We
brother.
talked about him before, man. I really
Right,
like
right,
Les Brown, and he's got an amazing story. And you look at Les Brown, you look at his story, man. He was basically abandoned by a drug addict mother and had a twin, and he was the dumb twin. You know, if you've heard,
right, right,
they used to call him DT for dumb twin.
right,
And you look at the guy now. The guy is a renowned speaker and very, very successful. But you look at guys like I like him. I like Brendan Bouchard. I like Tony Robb. Well, I mentioned Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn. There's a bunch of them. I mean, the list just goes
right,
on and on. But every time you hear those stories they have, and you pick up little gems here and there. You know what I
right,
mean? That help you. Like the more you put in that's positive, the more that's going to come out that's positive.
right.
So, and you have to do, I'll tell you, one of the things that I feel like helped me and it's helped me build a stronger mindset is doing affirmations. Like,
Exactly.
I thought affirmations were stupid because
When I first got in the business, I was like, yeah, whatever.
dude, the first
Yeah,
time
but
I really heard affirmations was, I'd got back when I joined Exit Realty a long time ago, and
uh,
part of you join Exit Realty was you got Steve Morris's book, and I'm not related to Steve Morris or anything, but and he's another one, dude. If you get a chance to see him live, the guy's like amazing speaker live on YouTube. YouTube, he's good, but YouTube doesn't do him justice. Like when you're there live, you see the way
you
he
feel the
interacts with
energy
the
in the
crowd.
air.
He interacts with the crowd in a way that makes you feel like he's talking directly to you.
Okay.
But he had a book and he talked about affirmations in it. And I was like, man, this is stupid. I don't want to sit there and write, I'm a good agent. You know what I mean? I'm a good agent. It reminds you of like, when you're, when you're in fourth grade, they made you write your name on the board, 100 times or whatever.
Right, right.
Oh, I will not fight at school, things like that. But, like, and then later on, I learned from Tony Robbins that when you're doing those affirmations, even though they're not true in your life, they cause a certain amount of stress in your mind, right? You're saying, and I like to do them around abundance because I believe that there's so much business in my market, right?
Right.
You can come over here, you can sit in my office with me, we can sit side by side, and I'll tell you a story that proves this. You can sit side by side with me, and we call the same list of numbers, and man, there's a chance that we might not even go on the same appointments. You know what I mean? There's so much business out there. Me and you can't do it all. Me and you, 20 other people just like us sitting in the same room can't do all the business that's in one market. Right. So, and the thing about this that's true, okay, I got two quick stories. One was Laura's a real estate agent too.
Right.
For the first probably 2 or 3 years, dude, we shared an office and we called expireds, we called for sale owners. Literally, we called the same list of people. I mean,
I remember you telling me you went to a listing appointment and she was leaving.
Oh yeah, there was one time. Dude, this only happened like 2 or 3 times in 3 years. She's we're on the phone, we're talking, and she's going, "Oh," I was like, "Yeah, I got one listing appointment left today, and I'll be done." And what you got going on? And she goes, "Oh, I got one listing appointment too." And I said, "Yeah, mine is." And I tell her where mine is, and she goes, "I'm going on the same listing appointment." She was like the 4 o'clock person. I was like the 5 o'clock person, right? So,
and if I remember correctly, you both closed it.
We just showed up at the same time and co-listed the property. We're working for the same company. And so that happened like 2 times in like 3 years, literally calling the same people, and people that like, I just didn't connect with, that I was like, oh, screw them, man. He's different, but I don't want to work with that guy. They would talk with her and they would love her. You know what I mean? Right. So, and also
different personalities clash with different personalities.
Oh,
some personalities mush, like the disc profile.
Exactly. And you know what? She's a woman and I'm a man. There were people that would just connect with her. There's people out there that are going, hey, I want to work with a woman. Hey, I want to work with a man.
Right.
And dude, and hey, I don't want to work with somebody that's old. I don't work with somebody that's young.
And people need to understand that it's not about you. It's just about what the client wants. Sometimes they just want a female because they can relate, or a male because they can relate. And if they turn you down, it's not nothing personal. It's just that you're not suited for what they want.
Yeah, that's the problem that a lot of agents have. They go on one appointment or they go on 2 appointments and they go, man, I didn't get the listing. All right, so So then they're all depressed about it, and they carry that with them for 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it affects their mindset. It affects what they're doing tomorrow. That one, I don't want to say failure because it's not really a failure. Every listing appointment you go on, one of two things happen. Either you get lucky and you get a listing, number one, or you get to practice your presentation and practice being comfortable, being there in a strange house with strange people and in an uncomfortable situation. You get to practice being comfortable in an uncomfortable situation.
I look at it like this, as like you said, it's two ways. Either when you go to a listing appointment, you go there to show them what you can do, how you're going to sell the property and get them sold, right? But you have that mindset, well, hey, I can do this. And if you have confidence and insurance, that rubs off. Now, if something happens where they doesn't decide to go with you, don't feel bad. You just went on a listing presentation and you had, you was able to practice it. Every time you get in front of somebody, you're failing forward. So
that's right.
you're adding experience to your resume. So if you mess up today, oh man, I messed up. Don't beat yourself over the head 3 or 4 days. Like learn from your mistake. Dust yourself off and move forward.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of agents just kind of carry that with them. That's why building that tough mindset is really important, And
Right.
those affirmations, what affirmations do is it's the reticular activating system. It's RAS. It's RAS is what it's called.
Colton can say it very well.
Yeah, he can say it really well. He can say it better than
The
me.
reticular activating system in your brain next to your quantum lobe.
So what that does is, if we go out and we go test drive a red Mercedes. We've all done this. You go out and test drive a red Mercedes, right? And you love the car. And you go, oh, I've never seen one.
There go a red Mercedes.
Right? Then next thing you know, they're everywhere. You see red Mercedes everywhere, right? Because your mind has realized that this is important to you, right?
Right.
So when you're going out there and you're saying affirmations that you're going, hey, I'm a for sale by owner listing machine. I'm a really great real estate agent. I'm a great listing agent. You're saying things like that. Sooner or later, you start realizing there's opportunities to list for sale by owners everywhere. You start seeing the opportunities. It wasn't that they weren't already there. You just didn't notice them because your mind thought other things were more important. Your mind can't absorb everything that we put into it. If it did, if you noticed everything, we'd go crazy. We'd have to be medicated. You know what I mean?
Right.
Between smells, sounds, everything, we just go crazy.
Right.
It's like too. It's almost like like when you eat something really, you're drinking a cup of coffee and it's sweet and you like it and stuff. Then all of a sudden you eat a donut with it and you take a sip of the coffee. That coffee isn't sweet anymore like it was before.
Right.
It's that same sort of idea. All of us. Your mind can't absorb every single sense and every single thing because we just go crazy.
Right.
But learning to use that system and use that system building a mindset is what's really, really important,
And going into mindset a little bit deeper, I don't want to be too much on this one because we have other ones to cover. But sometimes when you don't get a listing, you have a dry spell, we go into a mini depression. And so, I'm going to be transparent. It was times that, it's been times where I hadn't closed the deal in, maybe, a long while.
Yeah.
But, you get, it's like, oh, I can't do it anymore. Woe is me. So you have to get out of that. You have to say affirmations, get up early in the morning. And one thing that really helped me was exercise. And, I'm already like kind of chunky. But when you exercise and when you, stimulating your body, you start eating right, you start to build up confidence, you starting to like, oh yeah, I could do this. And then when you get on the phones, after you say your affirmations, after you, practice your scripts and you get on the phone, you start having little wins and then start building up your confidence. Because if if you're going through different trials and tribulations and it's wearing you down, you have to find a way to brush it off. You have to find a way to get back in the game where you can clean your mind and just focus on what needs to be done so you can be successful.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
think
think?
that I think that's a matter of having rituals, and
Exactly. Something
having
like
that
the miracle
ritual
morning,
gets you in a mile, just like the miracle morning.
right?
Like if you start looking at athletes and musicians and stuff like that. Like I remember the first time I seen something that I thought was kind of stupid that somebody was doing was when I was a kid. I used to like a little bit harder metal music and harder guitar music.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun,
Yeah, exactly.
dun-dun-dun.
I used to like Metallica. I mean,
Right, right.
Metallica was amazing back when I was like in high school and stuff. And so Metallica had this live like 10-hour thing, right? That they
Hmm.
done, which was all backstage and stuff. And I remember like buying this thing. It was like a $200 back then, and
Right.
like sitting through it and watching 10 hours of Metallica backstage, right?
Wow.
So one of the things that I can't think of his name right this second, but the lead singer, he was putting a towel over his head and he had this like chant that he was saying over and over again before he went on stage.
Give him
Part of
prime
it
before
was
his
yeah,
concert.
part of it was stretching his vocal cords, but the other part of it was just it was a ritual that he went through every time before they went
Right.
on stage. And but the whole band was like that. I mean, these were hardcore guys, man. These were guys that you think like, hey, they don't care about their health. You know what I mean? They don't care about this stuff. But I seen that. I remember them doing that and thinking like how crazy that was. And then as I've got older, I've realized sports athletes do it.
Hmm.
Athletes do it, musicians do it. I mean, everybody does it. Well, every major profession does it except for real estate agents.
Yeah,
And
because they're like not to bring up Colton again, but Colton says focus on the basics. Like
Mhm.
I'm not really into sports, but like a basketball player, he practices that jump shot or that hoop shot or whatever thousands of times. So that way when he's at that, playing the game, he don't have to think about it. It's just
Mhm.
reactive. That's
Yeah,
the same thing about practicing your scripts and your dialogues. After you get so used to saying the same thing over and over again, no matter where the conversation goes, you
yeah,
can answer that objection or that concern, right
yeah.
off the top of your head. And that gives you more confidence and a better
Well,
mindset.
well, your ritual is something that's going to put you like in a certain state or state of mind. Like when like for me, like getting that first cup of coffee in the morning, and it isn't necessarily the caffeine in the coffee, I don't believe, because I feel the same afterwards as far as like energy level.
Right,
I think it's just that ritual that when I taste it and I smell the coffee, like, hey, it's time to go to work. You know what I mean?
right, right.
For me, getting that first cup of coffee, I don't even to tell you the truth, dude. I buy coffee all the time. I stop by Dunkin' Donuts all the time. And I drink like a third of the cup, dude. I don't.
You too?
Yeah, I don't even drink like a
still,
cup of
still
coffee.
got most of mine, and
Even at
it's almost
home,
cold now.
Yeah, even at home, dude, I'll drink like about a third of a cup, a half a cup, and then I don't drink the rest. But it's the ritual of getting that cup of coffee. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, do
Music's
you
the same
think
way.
now I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me when you have rituals and routines and you have a system in place that develops a leader or
That's right.
leadership. What do you think about that?
Well, I think you have the rituals, and I think one of the things that you got to do, I think you got to be a leader, right? And you have to
Hmm.
develop those leader characteristics. And the number one thing that I think that you got to do as a real estate agent, um,
Show your
you have to,
professionalism.
well, I think that you have to be in control of the things that come out of your mouth. Okay, and this is what I mean by this. Like if you're walking around the office and going, "Hey, William, man, the market's bad, things are tough. I don't like this. Blah blah blah. Company's really bad, right?" Next thing you know, that person that you told that to, they're going to go, "Well, maybe that is right. Maybe the market is bad, right?"
Right.
And the next thing you know, that
They
that
spreading all that
that
negativity
negativity
around.
was infectious, right? Right. So I think that you have to be a leader and you have to be positive and you have to constantly put out that positive message to the people around you so that they hopefully give you that positive message back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that reminds me of that book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. You become this 5 people that you hang around with. So if you hang around, you know, sad, depressed people, you're going to be sad and depressed and poor, you know.
Yeah.
But if you hanging around people that's positive, uplifting, and wealthy, then you're going to be positive, rich and wealthy, you know, because
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's infectious. It will boil over
Yeah. Your
onto
activities.
that person.
Well, too, like being a leader, sometimes what we're doing, like we're both prospectors, right? We get on the phone and we'll bring out calls, whether it's expireds, for sale owners. We're going and looking for business.
Right.
We're not sitting there hoping business comes to us. That's the strategy, and we can talk about strategy and stuff here and planning in just a little bit. But for us, what we're doing, you look at your office, and I don't know how many agents you have in your office. We'll talk about the last
150 or so.
Oh, Jesus. How many agents are in your office prospecting every day?
Probably about 15 or 20.
Yeah, like 10%. The last office I was at, my current office, EXP, we're a cloud-based company, so there's not an office where I really see other agents. But, okay, so my last company I was at, we had about 40 agents. Out of 40 agents, there were two agents that got on the phone on a regular basis and a regular schedule and called. It was
They're
me
kicking real estate ass.
Yeah, and dude, you could take my production, you take the number of listings I had in the production, and you could take the second, third, fourth people in the company, add them all together, and it still wouldn't equal mine. Now, here's the problem, though, when you're doing that and you're at an office, and I think newer agents especially need to hear this. If you're just getting on the phone, if you're just getting started and stuff, going out and prospecting and looking for business works.
Right.
However, being at your office when you've got 50 agents in your office and you're the only guy that's making calls, you're heading in a different direction. You're breaking the norm of what's going on at your office. So
right.
You got to be a leader, and you have to be the pioneer there, right?
Right.
If the other people don't do it, it doesn't matter. You have to have confidence in your plan. You have to have confidence in your strategy. It's working in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's working in Los Angeles, California. It's also working in Denver, Colorado, and Florida.
Right.
I do know that about the real estate market in Florida. The prospecting works, calling for sale owners and expired.
And Canada.
And it works in Canada too, which nothing works in Canada, it seems like.
Right.
So, but here's the thing, like when you're the only guy in your office doing that, you're going to get pushback. You're going to have agents going. There's a guy that posted in Real Estate Agents that really work. My broker don't like me to go after for sale owners. The reason why your broker doesn't like that is because it's new to their office, right? And anytime you do anything new, you're going to have some pushback, and you're going to have people tell you, hey, that isn't what you should do. That isn't the way it's done here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
like
there's a tremendous amount of business to be done. It just isn't the way they're doing their business. It isn't their strategy.
There's different forms of prospecting, and each form is proven. Door knocking, cold calling, direct mail. Like we probably have in our office, there's probably about 15 top agents. There's probably like maybe about 8 to 12 or 20 that prospect. But the main people that's making over $100,000 in our office, maybe 1 or 2 of them are actively prospecting. The rest are sending out mailers. Or, they used to door knock, but they don't door knock anymore. But the farm area that they're marketing to knows them, or they're sending mail to their database, their past clients. That's how they're generating all that business. I had one agent, I'm like cold calling in the cubicle next to him. He's like, hey, can you move over to the conference room? I'm like, why should I move to the conference room? Yeah, because you're kind of disturbing me. I'm like, wait a minute. How many hours can you play hearts on the computer? I'm at the cubicle so I can prospect cold call. That's why I have the office now. So that way when I'm cold calling, I don't disturb anybody because I don't want to mess with their whatever their
I've
sort of
always been like that
prospecting
too,
is.
man. I like to, like when I've worked at actual offices that had offices, I want an office that I could go in and shut the door. That way,
Right.
man. And I got called. I was at one office where I was told I was antisocial and I need to keep my door open sometime. And I'm like, dude, I'm in here working. When I have my door open, like at the time I had like 75 listings, and the next stage at my office had like 28. Right.
Right.
So,
That's a big difference.
that was a big difference between number one and number two as far as listing agents in the
He should
office.
have closed his door too.
They should have closed their door too, right? But when I'd leave my door open, everybody would stop in and they want to say hey and see what I'm doing. And the next thing I knew, you wasted 30 minutes of my prospecting time.
Right.
Talking about hey, what you doing and what's working.
See, that's one of the parts of being the leader, because you're closing the door, you setting standards. It's like, hey, from 8 to 11:30, I'm on the phones. I even listen to your message, and that's a good point, because like when people call you, they know from 8 to 11:30 or 12 o'clock, you're on appointments or actively prospecting. You'll give them a call in the afternoon. Is that right?
That's
something
right,
like that, right?
Yeah, my voicemail says that I'm on appointments until 11 a.m. I'm happy to call you because my prospecting time is an appointment for me. Just
Right.
like if it was a doctor's appointment, or I set that up in my schedule. Now,
it's continuous appointment.
It's continuous. And, one of the things that a lot of agents don't understand when they're getting into the business is the real estate business isn't about you just showing up and things just fall in your lap.
Right.
The real estate business is, dude, it's hard work, man. It's hard work, dude. It's a lot of, you have to be, you have
a lot of hustle, sweat, and tears.
It's about consistency,
Right.
And that's the thing that a lot of agents don't understand, man. They can't make calls. If you're making calls one day out of the month, you're saying, oh, I'm going to make calls on the 15th. Then it's probably not going to help you out a lot.
Right.
But if you're making calls every day, you're working and you're doing follow-up, you're steady. I tell people in my coaching program, it's like having a funnel, and those initial calls that you're making, steady putting people in the top layer of your funnel, and as you're calling, as you're following up, you're working them through that. Hopefully they come out the other end as a listing or a buyer contractor.
And another thing I like to do, is I love that book. It just slipped my mind. What is it? Doesn't have it in my notes. Dang. It's about consistency, but you do little steps every day and it builds up. And it's right on the tip of my tongue. But that's the thing, because if you making your calls today, you're going to get paid 30, 60, 120 days from now. The more you put off, the compound effect. That's it. I love that book, The Compound Effect, because if you making calls today, you might not get results today, tomorrow, next week, but you're eventually going to get results, because like you said, when you're making your calls, the average contact to close is anywhere from 8 to 15 contacts. So during a 3-month or 6-month period, while you constantly following up on a prospect, you're slowly converting them. You developing that relationship where they feel comfortable with you. They know you're a professional. They start liking you and they start trusting you. And then when it's ready for them to pull the trigger, they're like, hey, Jason, we're ready for you to come out and list our property. And that could be anywhere from 8 to 15, 25 contacts to get, to have that client germinate until they're ready to pull the trigger. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you know what, man? When I look at follow-up and stuff, well, you're building a relationship with them on the phone.
Exactly.
And when I look at follow-up, man, I rarely make less than 12 or 14 follow-up calls. And I mean, it's just, I just rarely make less than that. I mean, by the time initial conversation, follow up, making sure they got my pre-listing package, making sure that, whatever questions they have are answered before I get there. Man, it's 12, 14 follow-ups. I mean, I got people I've followed up with for what seems like forever. And that's
Right.
a big thing for agents, that follow-up is hard work. It's not hard to follow up twice.
Number
Three
three,
times.
hard work and
Yeah,
consistency.
that's it. Hard work and consistency. And it's not hard to follow up twice. It's hard when you following up that 15th time and you're going, Jesus, I've already called these people. What I say?
The monkey brain starts setting in. It's like, why, I already talked to them 2 or 3 times. Should I talk to them again? You looking at their number and you're like, just
call me when they're ready.
Yeah, just call.
That's a big thing. Getting over that is tough. It's tough. That's one of the reasons why. Like, I talked a lot with my coaching clients about follow-up and building a follow-up system, and a lot of them didn't understand it, and I was giving them the concept.
Can you run through that right quick for people that don't know or not familiar with your coaching program?
Well, my coaching program, I do group coaching. It's jasonmorrisgroup.com.
I'll put a link in the description below.
And basically what it is, I work on low cost and no cost lead solutions, basically helping agents build their mindset, their follow-up plan, what to say on the phone, what to do at the listing appointment, how to overcome fears. I do a thing every Wednesday and Friday called Wednesday's Whale Wednesday, how to go after that bigger client. How to push
I like that.
Whale Wednesday. It's about pushing into that new price range, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say your average price point is $150,000 and you're trying to get your average sale up to $250,000. You know what I mean? Right. So Wednesday's about doing that. It's usually Wednesday's usually 10 or 15 minutes. Thursday is the actual coaching call for the week. Friday is Friday I like to call Chicken List Friday, man.
Chicken List Friday.
Started doing well, we were all in the same place. Okay, think about it right now. There are people right now, William, that they want to do business with you, right? They would do business with you, but for whatever reason, you were too chicken to call them, right?
Oh, okay.
And it's about overcoming that fear to call that person on the phone, whether it's the person down the street that's got a for sale by owner sign up that you know them from walking your dog. Hey, that seller, man, we all like this too. We all have listings right now that we probably need to price reduce.
Right.
And for whatever reason, we're putting it off. We got that, we think about, hey, we need to price reduce Mr. Smith, but man, Mr. Smith's kind of a jerk. And he says that he needs 200,000, but it's been 30 days. We hadn't had the first caller showing. His house isn't worth 200,000.
That's why it's good to have systems in place, because when I give a golden nugget, because like when I'm in a listing presentation, I let them know it's like, hey, I have 3 concepts. We can do the auction effect, we do it price it right and hold tight, or we can do the sky's the limit. So hey, we can list it at your price as long as it's not too far out of the range. But after 2 weeks, we are automatically at price adjustments. The reason why I do this, so that way that I'm not just trying to list your property and just get a quick commission. I'm going to let you, try your strategy, but I'm a professional. I know what the market is going to bear. Now with the low inventory, that might, you might get surprised and it might go in the contract, at that higher price. But I let the seller know, it's like, hey, the bank is not going to pay a dime over the appraisal. So that way they understand. And so
expectations.
Yeah. So that way, 2 weeks come by and say, hey, we had no calls, no showings, nobody's interested. We need to, I'm doing the automatic price adjustment. And they say, okay, William, you're the man. I'm like, yeah. So that comes with, not really working harder, but having a proven system that you've seen you or other agents, successful agents in your office have, and you just, hey, let's go out for a cup of coffee on my dime and share with me your success and your systems, so that way I can go up that ladder. It's like you said, you want to be, you want to catch up to the person is just above you. Overtake that person and maybe help them go up to a higher level. And it's the stairs. you
Yep.
just keep on going.
Yeah, I had somebody ask me, I've been going to a lot of masterminds and events and stuff like that. And one of the reasons why is because I'm wanting to meet people that are doing like the stuff that I want to do. You know what I mean? And they're doing it on a
Hmm.
bigger level than me so that I can just learn from, be around that energy. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And that really believe that's how you get to the next level. It's hard to get, if you're doing 10 deals a year and you want to do 100 deals a year, it's hard to get that 100 deals a year hanging around with the people doing 4 deals a year. You know what I mean?
Right,
You know,
exactly.
because, here's the
They
thing.
never done it.
They never done it. And two, they're going to tell you how it can't be done.
Right.
They
don't see it.
Like, here's one of the things you probably seen this the other day. I posted my October, what all
Right.
the stuff I had to do in October. And I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. The list is like, after I typed it up, I was like, oh man, that is a lot of stuff. But the thing is, it doesn't feel like a lot to me.
Because you're
nowadays,
used to doing it.
because I'm used to it. It's like the normal for me. It's about conditioning. And a lot of the people I talk to on a daily basis or weekly basis that are friends of mine they're doing a lot of stuff too. So it's normal for everybody to be really busy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like a lot of my friends that are here locally, it's really normal to not have lunch with them because, dude, I can't go sit and I like you, but I can't spend an hour with you on a Monday morning. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
and that's,
You got
and I mean,
things to
it's
do.
not bad. It's not, like I had a guy, I'll tell you this crazy story, man. I had this guy that's been calling me. I hope he hears this actually.
Right.
So I had this guy that's been calling me. He got my number from a mutual friend. And he's been kind of pitching on, coming to work for me. But the thing that he wants to do for me is something that honestly, it just don't fit into my business plan.
Mhm.
It's just something that I don't want. I mean, as of today, I'm not saying there won't be a place for him in a year, but as of today, there's just not a place for him, and he's a nice guy. I really like him,
Right.
and, so he keeps telling me, hey man, let's meet. And I keep, I've already had like multiple phone conversations where I'm like nice telling him no. And finally,
Right.
I was like, hey dude, I text him a picture of like my to-do list for this coming week. And I go, dude, this is all the stuff I have to do this week. And I mean, dude, it's extensive. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I use Google Keep and I got like a whole checklist and stuff where I can check them off. And it's like insanely, it was like 4 pictures of stuff. And I said, dude, this is all the stuff I got to do this week, man. My schedule's really tight. I don't know when I could work you in to meet you for coffee or lunch. I mean, I just don't have time. And I'm not being mean to him. I just
Right.
don't have time. I mean, and he sent me back a thing telling me that telling me that I was selfish and I'm greedy and that I only care about stuff that benefits me. And I'm like, actually, dude, I don't really know you. Yes. I mean, yeah, I only do things that benefit me. And that's something that like a lot of people don't understand.
Well, you're
I'm not
running a business, and it's like you have to prioritize your schedule. Like with us, it took me a minute to catch up to you, and then I was like, "Hey, I know you busy. You let me know when you was free." You told me, "Well, hey, I'm free right, at 7 o'clock." So we're a 3-hour difference. So I had to get to the office before this crack of dawn.
Yeah.
So
I didn't
that's
want to do
being
that with you,
respectful.
but I want to do it, and that's the only time I had. This guy, he told me that I was selfish, and a lot of agents don't really understand that you do have to be selfish with your time because
Mhm.
that's the only resource that we only have like a really really small amount of.
And we don't get that
And
time back.
yeah, we don't get that time back.
Mhm.
So you have to be, if your prospecting time is from 8 to 10 in the morning and that agent knocks on your door in your office and says at 8:30 going, hey William, let's go get breakfast or let's go get lunch,
They know not
and
to knock on
they're a
my
nice
door.
person. There might be a nice person and hey, you might really want to go get a coffee with them, but dude, if you go have coffee with them, then you missed an hour and a half of prospecting. That sets you back an hour and a half of work towards whatever your goal is.
And that could be anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000, depending on your marketplace of commissions you lost.
You have to say no, dude. If you start saying the worst thing like you can do is just start saying yes to everything. Like,
Right.
I think there was a book and there was somebody that talked about saying yes to everything, but you can't say yes to everything. If you do, you're not going to be able to accomplish those goals that you have.
Right.
You have to be like protective over your time. And the most important thing that agents have to do is be protective over income producing prospecting
Activities.
activity time. You know what I mean?
And that's where number 4 comes in, strategy.
Having a strategy. Yeah. I mean, and you can have a lot of different strategies. There's not just one strategy that works. Like in my
Mm-hmm.
coaching here, I've talked a lot about like prospecting and going after for sale owners and expireds and getting more listings because, that's the strategy that's been successful for me. And the reason I follow that strategy is because it allows me to leverage my time. The reason why I'm still able to go out there and sell real estate and take, 2, 3, 4 listings a week and do stuff like that and still be able to coach agents, do like interviews with you and stuff like that is because I only go after listings. I don't work with buyers.
Right.
Right. And my whole strategy and my whole plan is set up around not working with buyers because here's the deal. You can have 50 qualified buyers today and there's no way you can show them all property this week. Or you can have 50 listings. And dude, if you're using a system like Showing Time or centralized showings, set up your showings, dude, you don't
We
even
have that out here in California.
Okay. Yeah. I think our association gives us Showing Time. So I just use it because it's free,
Right.
It don't cost me anything. But dude, if you got all your listings set up in that, you can have 50 listings and you don't even have to talk to another agent to get them shown.
Right. Right. It gives them all the information that they need.
Yeah. So one of the stories I tell agents is, man, this has been probably about a year and a half ago. We were on a 7-day cruise. We're out in the
I
Caribbean.
remember that. I talked to you on that cruise.
And I sold 3 properties that week. I made like $15,000 while I was on a ship in the middle of the ocean without cell phone service. All I had was internet.
We have one agent. He just constantly markets. He has a dojo and he spars with different celebrities and stuff, but he's almost always on vacation. And when he's on vacation, he's taking listings to DocuSign and the sellers may not even see him through the whole transaction.
Yeah, I believe it.
So
there's it's a matter of what do you want your business to be, and it's life design. There are people out there that love working with buyers and they like that whole process of going to the house. It's a little bit different. It's working with buyers is a different skill set than working with sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Because with buyers, you're going in and you're trying to point out all the great features and you're trying to point out all the stuff. It's just a different skill set than working with sellers. Right. And I'm not saying that you can only do one or the other. I'm just saying it's a little bit different skill set. Like building a team, I've had to change my skill set and learn different skills to be able to recruit.
Right.
So but there's not just one strategy that works. There's guys that are out there crushing it with just doing Facebook ads. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Guys out there, they're crushing it. They're getting on the phone. Dude, there are guys out there door knocking and doing like insane amounts of business where some of them I looked at their business and going, Jesus, I need to get me a new pair of tennis shoes, man, and start. I need a new pair of Nikes, dude.
Right.
Doors, they're telling you how much money they're making. So there's not just one strategy that works. But the key is to pick one because you can get overwhelmed.
And what's funny about that is like take Colton Lindsay and Derek Lipsky. Derek he's a expired master, right? But he had reservations about working for sell by owners. And it was funny. I saw an interview with Derek Lipsky and Colton, and Colton was like had reservations working with expireds because he was so successful with for sale by owners. And it's the mindset. I have some people that like, I love cold calling, and they was like, oh well, for sale by owners is too hard and then expireds are too hard. But if you cold call, it's your mindset is what you have your mind wrapped around. Because if you start limiting yourself, then you're just stuck on that road. Now, like, it's like with Colton Lindsay and Derek Lipsky, they can either do expireds for sell by owners is no big thing. But when you first get into the business, like when I first got into the business, I started working with buyers. I'm like, hey, this is great, found to the property, showing the property. But after dealing with some buyers for a couple months, and then it's like, hey, William, hey, thank you for everything. We bought a property with the listing agent, but hey, thank you. What?
Yeah, there's no loyalty.
Yeah.
There's no loyalty with a listing.
You're the boss.
Yeah, you've got a signed agreement. You're the only guy that's got an MLS. You can't really sneak around. List it with another agent on MLS.
And sometimes you could double end it.
Yep, sometimes you can double end it. That's right. It's pretty interesting, but you don't need to do everything. Like you almost need to look at different stuff, as different streams of income for your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was explaining this to a new agent yesterday. They went through I don't want to say the program, but they went through one of these big franchise training programs,
Oh, okay.
And they went through it and they talked about blogging, they talked about all this different stuff. And this agent, she's fairly new. And she goes, I just don't know what to do. And I told her to give me a call and I'd help her. So she was just overwhelmed because, man, she thought she had to blog. She thought she had to do open houses. She thought she had to make cold calls, expired
everything
calls,
under the sun.
She had to do mail. I mean, dude, the list of stuff she was asking me, she goes, how do you handle all of it? And I go, I don't.
I keep it simple.
Yeah, you can be really good at like you can be really good at getting for sale owners and have a fantastic business and make a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, or you can build that skill set where you're really good at working for sale owners. In the meantime, you can, once you get really good at that, you start adding expireds to it. You add different stuff to it. Once you build that foundation, right?
Right.
You get really good on the phone calling one, then you start calling another, then you add another, then you add another. Then next thing you know, maybe you start
building
doing
a foundation,
start doing videos of all your listings, and you start adding, more to your system,
a process.
Try to do it all at one time. It's going to be, basically it's like eating an elephant.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
And it's like eating an elephant. You can't eat all in one meal.
Right.
And it gets overwhelming out there. So you got to start with one thing and pick it.
That comes with the last topic, planning. So if you have a plan, a strategy to implement, that will definitely help your business. What's your take on that?
Correct. Well, you know what? You gotta have a plan. You look at all your strategies. You look at the things that you want to do. You look at the way you want your business to look in the future, right?
Right.
Then you need to plan when are you going to do certain things. And I think you need to make a schedule. I live by my schedule and my to-do list, man. So, and the thing is, okay, if you don't schedule it and you don't plan it, you're
not going to do it.
Like, dude, I would love to have a blog that ranks for 1,000 keywords in my market. I'd love to, you know what? But it's not on my schedule, so it isn't getting done.
Right.
I've got domain names.
Right.
Domain names, but you know what? I haven't put on my schedule like, hey, set up WordPress account at 9:15 on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Write article. Setting 30 minutes aside to write articles and blog posts.
Now, do you ever, like, when you feel like you want to do something, but it's not in your schedule, you farm it out to like a TC or like somebody from Upwork or something like that?
You know what? I like Fiverr here lately. I like Upwork. Well, I really liked Elance, and when they merged with Upwork, I wasn't as happy with my results from Upwork. But Fiverr, dude, I'm really happy with Fiverr lately, and it's so easy to go on there. And like, if I need a graphic done, if I need something,
it's hard to find things for $5 now since they upgraded the service.
Yeah, it's hard to find things for $5. But you know what, man? Like, my book covers were done on Fiverr. I mean, like, dude,
mine as well.
Dude, I don't have time to sit there on Photoshop and figure it out myself,
Right.
There's just so many things, man. I hired an editor off Fiverr. I've hired so many things off Fiverr just to do things for me. Like my pre-listing package, I've got a template that I give away for free at jasonmorrisprelistingpackage.com.
I also put a link to that down on the description.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, I felt like I need to update that a little bit.
Right.
So what I did the other day was I said, hey, I need to update it in there. That one I'm giving away for free. I got a couple graphics from like 2010 and stuff, and I need to probably update my own a little bit. So what I did was I hired somebody from Upwork, and they're doing it for me, you know?
Okay. Okay.
So basically, but everything, even in that, I have it planned. I have it on my to-do list. I have it on everything. So when I get to the office, I know like, hey, go on Fiverr, research a couple of people, pay them $10 and let's, see what happens. You know what I
Now,
mean?
do you I know you have a planner coming out, and I have
Hmm.
like a calendar that I use. It's something about having a physical calendar.
Yes.
I had a school bus company, so anytime I booked a trip for my business, I always put in that calendar. And one time I lost it, and I was like, man, I'll pay something like $500 just to give me my calendar back. But
Yeah.
um, to go back to the calendar, a lot of times when I have a busy day, the previous day, I look in my calendar because I'll have notes, to dos. I'm like, all right, I need to do this, that, and this. And then sometimes I refine it because things change.
Yeah.
So that way, when I go
Dude,
into the
I
office,
tell you what, man, I take a notebook. I got a notebook with me all the time.
mm-hmm,
I mean, this is basically a book, with the blank pages you get for like
right,
$10. But I almost always have one with me, and I always make notes and stuff, dude. Even when like when I'm listening to something like on
mm-hmm,
YouTube or something, dude, I got out my notebook and making notes and stuff, things I want to remember, maybe something I want to talk about, and I mean, like I'm constantly learning, but even that, dude, I even have a plan for like self development, right?
right,
Like personal self development. Like I schedule time that I'm going to watch things. Like I got a lot of things on YouTube I'm subscribed to, but one of my favorite guys is Gary Vaynerchuk.
right.
And he just done a keynote that's just posted on YouTube about
Gary V,
done,
what's up, Gary
that
V?
that he done at ClickFunnels.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
it's like an hour and 45 minutes, dude. And I know there's some really good, there's a lot of stuff in there that I've already heard him talk about, dude, because I've
Right.
seen like so much of his stuff. But I know that there's some good stuff in that ClickFunnels keynote
Mm-hmm.
that he gave. And there's going to be some good stuff in those question and answers that he gave, like,
Was that on YouTube
30,
or
40
just
days.
a course?
It just came up on YouTube. It's free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
One thing I love about YouTube, I'm subscribed to YouTube Red.
Hmm.
And so I listen to my phone, so like when I'm
Yeah.
driving, I can listen to it. And that way, it's like I don't have to have the screen on. So that way I can keep on listening to it. Now, if I hear something that I really like, I'll just push the buttons on my phone to screenshot the location of, other, the YouTube, whatever they're talking about. And then like whenever I have time when I'm kicking back at home or whatever, I look at my pictures and I look at the screenshot and I go back over it. And that way I can like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, that's what he was talking about, and go over it with my notes. So I
Yeah,
just love
man.
YouTube Red.
Yeah, I've tried YouTube Red and stuff before, man. I haven't subscribed to it, man, but I do listen to YouTube all the time. But usually when I'm listening to it, I'm actually watching it like on my TV at home, or I'm sitting in my office watching on the computer. But I
Right.
schedule all that stuff. Like I got 2 hours laid out that I'm gonna watch that ClickFunnels thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Yeah,
just
to
by
schedule
chance.
it.
You know what I mean? It's not
Right.
like Netflix. You know what I mean? Where like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, maybe later I want to watch the new House of Cards. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
not like that for me. Like my whole plan is scheduled. And
And it's like with me, it's like when I'm in front of the computer, it's like, I don't know about you, but I get kind of like, guilty. Like if I'm watching something, I was like, well, hey, I could be prospecting or doing something else. But a lot of times, like you said, you have to cut off social media, Twitter, Instagram, all that other stuff, because like you're trying to prospect, try to do different things, and then you get a notification, you click on that, and you see something political or something, and just next thing you know, you look up and like, what? 2 hours
oh
went
yeah,
by. How'd that
you went down a
happen?
rabbit hole. Yeah, you went down a rabbit hole, and next thing you know, like it's time to go home. And that's horrible. I've done that before too, man. It's so easy to do.
Right.
But you know what? That one idea that you could learn from that thing could
Mm-hmm.
be that idea that takes you to the next level. It could be that aha moment. It could be,
Right.
and that's something I've learned too. Like just some of the people I follow, and some of the things I bought and stuff over the last year, some of it I've said, oh, well, this really doesn't pertain to the real estate industry. But, it's been some kind of business related and stuff. And, I've got things that were just that one idea that,
Mm-hmm.
made a
That tweaked your
substantial impact.
business where
Yep.
it helped you.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I tell you what, I learned.
Can you give us an example of that?
I haven't set it up yet, dude. But
All right.
but I'll tell you this example, this thing I learned the other day that I thought was absolutely brilliant. So, ClickFunnels are the big buzzword now, right? I feel like every day I got somebody pitching me a ClickFunnel.
And
So
I think I get a lot of my emails with people like marketing stuff. It's always like the ClickFunnels in the background that support it.
One of the things that ClickFunnels, and the big one we know about is Russell Brunson's ClickFunnels, but there's a lot of other programs that do the same thing. What basically it does is it sends emails that have like if and statements in them, where basically you get an email and it has a link, and it might be a YouTube link, right?
Right.
Click on that YouTube link, that is tracked, and then next thing you know, you get another email that's like, oh wow, how did this person know that? And it has something pertaining to that YouTube video.
Technology.
Or if you didn't click on anything, you might get a different email from them. Or if you didn't open it, you get a different email from them. So, or if there's multiple links and you clicked on multiple links, maybe you get a different email for that. Right. So it's kind of interesting. So
also too, not to cut you off, but I was looking at like a free training for something, and it was part of ClickFunnels, and I didn't even finish the video training. I was like halfway through, and it was sending me reminders. It's like, hey, you're at section 4, hurry up and finish this section because section 5 is waiting for you, and then it was like about 2 or 3 days went by. Is like, hey, you still ain't finished
your email interactive.
Yeah.
So what this guy told me he was doing, the guy was in the mortgage industry, and anyway, so he tells me all this stuff he's doing to ClickFunnels and the way he's keeping up with clients with it. And he sent them information articles, to help them improve their credit score or help them with whatever. And these are just people in his database. Based on their click-throughs, it was, and he's using a lot more advanced program than I am. But based on their click-throughs, it was scheduling follow-up calls for him.
Right.
And it was scheduling things and sending out them emails based on what they clicked on, rather than just a canned drip campaign that's the same 12 emails and everybody gets the same ones. And
it's kind of like artificial intelligence.
It is. It's like a robot. And he's telling me this thing. He's telling me this thing, and I'm going like,
I think I could use that for my business.
There and I'm going like,
here I come, ClickFunnels.
This can really do this. Like, you can really do that with that. And so then he starts telling me how there's an agent in his market that set up sellers the same way. And what they're doing with this is they set up, and I've never thought about this, that this was a possibility.
I was thinking about it just when you were telling me. I was like, oh, this sounds interesting.
Yeah, so the guy, what he's doing is he's making his calls, right?
Right.
And he gets somebody that he has that kind of meaningful conversation with, but they can't set an appointment or they're a little ways out. Well, what he does is he sets up his follow-up system, and he's got a follow-up system, but then he drops them into his ClickFunnel. Drops them into his funnel. And then that works the person through the same way, scheduling additional follow-up calls based on them clicking different links in there. And I'm going like, that is actually like, that is brilliant based on their
brilliant. Yeah, because you probably have to take some time in setting it up, but once the system is set up, it is just go on autopilot.
Yeah, it's not going to 100% automate your follow-up, but it's going to add more automation to your follow-up and more touches.
Right.
They're not the canned touches. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not a fan of, putting people on a drip, that whole thing. I'm not a fan of that. But if we could customize that drip and make that drip interactive, and that's what these ClickFunnels and the software does.
And it's more intelligent because, like, depending on how the client reacts to the email or do not act to the email, is going to respond in a certain way.
That's right.
Correct. Right.
That's right. So it's going to act a certain way, and also it's going to schedule your follow-up in a certain way too. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm smart enough to set all that stuff up. So, but then that's one of the reasons I haven't done it yet. So yeah, exactly. You go on Fiverr, you go on Upwork, you map out your whole thing on a piece of paper and go, hey, this is what I want done. So, but that's one idea that I got from that I know that if I implement that, it's going to change some of the way I'm following. It's going to be an addition to my follow-up,
We've been on the video for a while now, so it's probably about time for us to wrap up. So tell us, what would you say, to boil it down, how can like a new agent or an existing agent or somebody that's in like maybe a real estate rut or a dry spell transform their business into a superstar agent?
The first thing I think that they need to do is they need to shorten their learning curve as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
They need to hire a coach, right? They need to hire a coach or get in some sort of coaching program. And the sole purpose of shortening their learning curve. So if you're brand new and you're just hoping that things are going to work out, you're doing phone duty in your office, hoping somebody's going to walk through tomorrow, I'm going to be honest with you, it's probably not going to work. That's not how you're going to hit your goals. You need to get into a coaching program and shorten that learning curve. I think that's number one.
Okay.
You need to start doing some sort of personal development and start building that mindset and building those positive thoughts. And, lots of times a coaching program can help you do that. And you need to go ahead and accept, that real estate is hard work. You know what I mean? If it was easy, dude, everybody would be doing it and we'd all be driving Porsches. You know what I mean?
Right.
Real estate's hard work and it's going to take consistency, just like at a regular job. You're going to have a schedule. You're going to have to do certain things at certain times, just as if you worked anywhere else. We're the only profession that thinks that, we get in the business thinking we're going to make six figures or more. And we never go and figure out a schedule, or we never figure out.
All we have to do is sit back and wait for the phone to ring.
I got a license. People will call, It's not like that, Look at all the attorneys, man, that have law degrees and law licenses that, are executive offices by themselves struggling to pay student loans.
Right.
Just because you have a license isn't going to help you. You know what I mean?
Right.
There are attorneys that struggle. There are doctors that struggle, financially, because they don't have a plan. And there are probably more real estate agents than anything that struggle, any other licensed profession, I feel like.
Yeah, in the first year or 5 years, there's an 80% fallout rate. And, it doesn't make any sense, Dude,
sometimes
you got a prospect.
Here's something a coach is going to help you do. Sometimes the biggest problem for real estate agents isn't that they need to do more. It's that they need to do less. They're trying to do everything. And so nothing's really working because they're not focusing. They're not doing enough of one thing. You know what I mean?
Not doing enough of one thing, focusing on the prospects. Yeah, exactly. Focus on prospecting and doing it every day, and just following up on the people that you made contact with that had a meaningful conversation.
The other thing, and this would be the last thing I tell you, that I see that a lot of new agents do, is they do go out there and they do go through a training program. And it's usually something that's franchise sponsored. And the problem with a lot of the franchise sponsored things is they're focused around selling you training, right? And they're focused around buzzwords.
Right.
And what you end up with is you go through that and you have a system that you're really excited about, but the problem is you can't afford to implement that system. So I see that all the time with agents, man.
Well, what I would suggest too is, first, check out your videos. You have a ton of free information on your YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is youtube.com/C/Jason Morse Group.
Okay. And then also too, the Jason Morse Facebook group, Real Estate Agents That Really Work.
That's right. That's right. There's a lot of free stuff in there. Lots of free stuff, actually.
And also too, the other agents are very helpful. You put up an objection, they'll post replies to help you. But another thing I would suggest agents to be a superstar in is don't always look for the magic bullet, because there's no magic bullets. When I first got into business, I was taken for a couple $1,000s. because I thought, hey, this is what you have to spend to be a successful real estate agent. That's not the case. You have these agents that say, oh, yeah, I'm doing 30 or 40 transactions, and their only form of income is advertising or internet marketing. They're
Oh,
not really
exactly.
selling real estate full time. They're doing other things. So you
That's
gotta
right.
watch that. So I would suggest, look at your videos. That would help you jumpstart if you don't
Oh,
have the
yeah.
money to hire a coach. And make sure when you hire a coach that they're, if they're not in the business, they used to be in the business and they're in touch with today's market. Right now in Southern California, it's a low inventory. So I want somebody that, hey, you went through this before. How can I survive and prospect so I can come out the other end, financially
That's right.
secure and with more deals?
Yep. That's right, man. That's right.
So, hey, Jason, tell everybody how they can get in contact with you. And
Man, find me on Facebook and Real Estate Agents That Really Works. That's the easiest way, man.
right,
And the
right.
Facebook group Real Estate Agents That Really Work.
Okay. Well, hey, it's been good talking to you. Everybody, thanks for showing up, showing out, and I hope you like this episode. If you do, leave a comment below. Make sure you please subscribe. This is my new channel. I'm going to be trying to interview more successful agents and talk about different uplifting things. And, if you need help, send me a message and I'll do a video on it or try to help you. All right, this is William May with Century 21 signing off.